Hello, everybody. Hope your August started out really good. I wanted to get in front of the camera tonight and share with you guys some of the most recent additions to my library. I took a trip over to Game Depot, which is located in Holyoke, Massachusetts on Main Street. Really cool people there. I got to know them just before I went to E3. Found out about them through a relative and through a couple of other people locally. Stopped by there. It's a cool place. They have everything from regular NES all the way up to PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So it's a neat place to visit. I did have a little bit of extra money, not a great deal. I had $30 with me, and this is what I was able to make out of the $30. One thing that you won't see is a copy of Gyrus for the NES. That game unfortunately didn't work. I got to bring that back, which is too bad because I was actually hoping that was going to work pretty well. As you guys know, I'm a big arcade rat, so anytime I can get myself a coin-op conversion to play at home, whether it's on the NES or any other system, I try and go after those. But it didn't work, so I got to bring it back, so you won't be seeing that one. But the first game, and I will get this nice and close to the camera, is Hudson's Adventure Island. You can see the Hudson Bee right there. I was never really a big Adventure Island guy when I first had my NES back in the early 1990s. It really wasn't until after I had started collecting in the later 90s that I had found out about Adventure Island. And then, of course, when I saw this in the store, I figured I had to go grab it. Fun game. Obviously, it's a left-to-right platformer, but a blast to play. And of course, Hudson wound up making a ton of those, so good stuff. I also have the instruction manual for it, which is right here. So I have the game, I have the manual, I just don't have the box, and that's the case for about 97% of my NES games. Next on the list, and this I don't have a manual for, and I'll put that right there, is King's Knight right there. King's Knight I got because it's a Square game. It's a very interesting take on an RPG kind of game, where it's a top-down shooter more than it is an RPG, but there are RPG overtones. Obviously, very early on in Square's history, so really didn't expect much going in. I hadn't played this any other time that I had an NES before, so this was kind of new. I think I got to the third boss or whatever. So it was fun to play, but again, I didn't have the instruction manual, so I'll be on the lookout for that. Next up on the list for the NES is the original swearer himself, Q*bert. This is from Konami/Ultra. Q*bert, again, another arcade coin-op conversion, just one of those kind of games that I wanted to have. I actually have the PlayStation Network version of Q*bert that I play from time to time, but it's nice to have an NES version just to kind of fall back on. And I do also have the manual right here, so and you can see I can see Q*bert's backside, which for whatever reason doesn't look healthy, but whatever. So that's Q*bert. And then the last NES game I got, and again, all of this was the same transaction for $30, is Star Tropics. And not only do I have Star Tropics, but I have the manual. And not only do I have the manual, but I also have, and you guys probably can't see it because of the lighting, but I also have the invisible ink letter as well. So now I had the manual beforehand, so it was just kind of nice to get the game to go with it. Star Tropics is pretty interesting. I had played it briefly back in the late 90s when I was starting an NES collection, which I didn't hold on to. I wound up being a dummy and trading it all in towards a Dreamcast in '99, but that's a story for a different time. But I played it a little bit then. I never even got through the first dungeon before I was just kind of bored. But I started playing it again yesterday and actually made it through the first dungeon, and I got on the submarine, the Subsea I believe it's called, and kind of getting into it, having fun with it. I didn't play it for too long. I'll spend more time with it as the days and weeks go on, but it was kind of nice to get that. So now I've got to be on the lookout for Star Tropics 2 in order to go ahead and finish up the collection. So those are the NES games that I got. And I also got a couple of Super Nintendo games. The first one is, I'll use this up, it's Raiden Trad, which is, I believe, and I have to double check it, I believe this is a conversion of the shooter. And if it is what I think it is, and I have to look at YouTube to be sure, for whatever reason it's just blanking on me, probably because I'm an old man. But if it is what I think it is, top-down shooters, again, big favorites of mine. Not necessarily that I'm great at them, but it's, again, that arcade, that coin-op type feel, which I appreciate a lot. It just so happens, by the way, that the value on this was $3, and on price charting it's going for almost $9. So I actually got a pretty good deal on this as part of the $30 that I spent. The other game that I got, and it was only a couple of dollars, but I had to get it, is WWF Raw. WWF Raw I got solely on the pseudo recommendation from Wrestling Funtime Arcade with Joe Gagney. I'll link his YouTube channel at the bottom of my video here. I hadn't played this. The only wrestling game on the Super Nintendo that I had played was WWF Super WrestleMania, which was way early. And as it turns out, Joe actually had a lot of good things to say about this, so for a couple of dollars I had to bite when I saw that it was available. So thanks, Joe, for that recommendation. I'll let you guys know what I think of it. I haven't actually popped it into my Super Nintendo yet, so I'll have to let you know. Then come a couple of previous generation games, PS2, Xbox games. For the Xbox, and I don't have an original Xbox, I'll be playing this on my 360. Getting ready for football season, it is ESPN NFL 2K5. I got it on pretty good authority from a couple of Twitter users that the game runs okay in 360/Xbox compatibility mode. So as long as it runs fairly well, it'll be nice to have this. I have the PlayStation 2 version, and the presentation suffers a little bit. At the end of games, when Chris Berman does his highlight show, you don't actually get the highlights running, you actually get still shots. It's just a little bit, I don't want to say gimped, but it's a little bit lesser functional than the Xbox version. Of course, the Xbox was the lead platform for Visual Concepts 2K games, the NBA, NHL, so on and so forth. So when I saw this for a couple of hours, I had to get it. And then the crown jewel of my trip was, and still is, Valkyrie Profile 2 Somaria. And you can see that it was $10 here. He actually gave it to me for $9. It is actually complete with manual and disc and the whole 9 yards, so it's a really good deal. Granted, it's not the original Valkyrie Profile, which I actually did own at one time and was a dummy and parted with. But that was back when the game was still fairly new and I didn't know what I had. But Valkyrie Profile 2, I actually did play briefly when it first came out. And then I had an issue with my PlayStation 2 at the time, and I had parted with a lot of my PS2 games and only held on to a select few. So it's nice to have that back in the collection. I'm slowly but surely putting together an okay selection of RPGs for the PS2. Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2, of course, Final Fantasy XII. Both of the Dot Hack series, with the exception of, from the first series, Volume 4, which is the crown jewel of that series. That's the most expensive. It's going for like $60 or whatever it is. I haven't been able to get my hands on that one yet, but I have the first 3 in the first series, and then I have all 3 in the second series. So my RPG collection for the PS2 is growing. I don't play a lot of them, at least not yet. I should probably dedicate some time to do so. But I thought that Valkyrie Profile 2 for $9 was a pretty good pickup. So that's what I got recently. Again, thanks to the guys down at Game Depot for being so cool, for setting me up with some pretty good deals. I worked it all out. Paid $30. The value on price charting was about $47. So I wound up saving about $17, and that's, in my eyes, is a pretty good deal. So that's what I picked up recently. Again, there aren't too many of those as money is tight, but when I do get games that I add to my collection, I'll be sure to jump in front of the camera and share it with you guys, tell you about it. So hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll be back on front of the camera soon with more content.